came here on an assignment with Ford Motor Company, and we thought it was, whether it was 2 or 4 years, but it became 5 or so, and then we were going to stay, and there was an active decision we had to make, which was that we would not go home. So we are products of the culture we were raised in. We're both in our 30s when we came here, and so we sound like we sound, and going to sound this way forever. But we talked intensely for a week or so about the decision to stay, and although we'd never been a family of 5 in England, and we'd had 2 of our children here in Dearborn, we spent a lot of time thinking through, talking about what it meant to decide to make our lives here and stay and apply for the green card. So it was easy to extend a temporary stay 1 more year. It was a much tougher decision to decide to make the US our home. We're very happy in Dearborn, we're very happy with our family, we had a great circle of friends, we were active in the church, so we were made to feel very welcome and part of the community, but it emotionally felt like a big deal to say this is going to be our forever home.
In terms of the things that helped me, though, as I was reflecting on this, that actually, though, my entree into getting to know other people, well, first of all, it was through the children. Well, we all have children. You know, if you have children, that's a great entree point. But I also have a lot of cultural activities that I do, theatre, music, because I'm a musician. But again, luckily for me, those are Western, the same sorts of things. So for me, joining a symphony orchestra or joining a choir, I know that they're going to be singing the same kinds of things that I was experiencing in choirs and symphony orchestras, or teaching the piano or things like that, that they are exactly the same culture. So for me, that was very similar, whereas I can imagine if all of the culture is different as well, then you don't even have the sorts of activities that might draw you out because you have no confidence in how you can participate in those. Whereas for me, wherever we've moved, whether it be in the UK, ourselves in the UK, coming here to America, or even when we lived in Sweden, we've also lived in Sweden more recently with our 3 children. When they were younger, we went from America to Sweden and back to America again. And again, that's got those same Western cultural, there was a language difference there, but I could still join an orchestra, join a choir, to have those cultural connections, go to the opera, which allowed us to then meet people and meet groups and have a social activity. So that was my little bit that makes it easier for us.
When raising a family in a new country, it helps to build relationships with your neighbors.
The other thing when you move, because there was just the 2 of us as parents and 3 children, and actually I wasn't working, so that made it obvious that I was the main carer as well for the children. But even so, that means you have to very quickly, we both felt, it was important to build a network then of people who were really meaningful to our children, because if you're the only two people that your children can turn to, and you have an inevitable falling out, then that's very hard for children to grow up in an environment where they don't, there isn't anybody else that they can easily turn to. So who else are they going to turn to? Is it just the parents of their friends, say school friends? And so I think building a community where the children have trust in that community, not only through the parents. So it's not just because they're always with you and you always talk to these other adults, but that these adults interact with your children independently, and that the children, as they grow, to be able to use, I need somebody to talk to, that they might think of these other people, either maybe other adults, say through your church, or other neighbours that they could go to, or maybe a friend's parents or something like that. I think they're really important things when you're not near family or don't have family around. And I think, and sometimes the sort of single family unit, which tends to be a more kind of Western cultural thing, is you're like in a little isolated bubble. Although I don't think that's true of most people in Dearborn. A lot of Dearborn do have extended family around, because there is that sort of heritage within the Dearborn community.
Yeah.